Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user XGF is a POS. My ex-girlfriend, 25 female, cheated on me, 26 male, with a student of mine, 18 male. After I broke up and asked my money back, she played the victim and turned my friends and family against me. How can I deal? Backstory. I was madly in love with my girlfriend, together for 4 years. She is quite attractive and very affectionate. She thrived on attention, to which I catered to the best of my abilities. Overall, I was happy. I earned significantly more than her, apart from the fact that my grandparents left me a hefty amount of money. Although she lived in her own apartment, most of the stuff in it was mine. We live in India, and live-in relationships are a big taboo where I'm from. She drove my car, used my laptop, and so on. She bought a 60-inch TV and defaulted on payments, after which I had to pay for it. This was not an isolated incident either, because she had a lot of things I was paying for. I admit that I was a doormat, in blissful ignorance of all the red flags. Anyway, so this is how the events unfolded. On Sunday, I was at her place. I had to check my email, so I used her laptop. I opened Gmail and her account was already signed in. As I was about to log out, I see a Hangouts notification from one of my students. I am an assistant professor at the local university. We'll call my student Wuss. Out of curiosity, I checked what it was, and that's when I found out that they were sexting. The message said, "God knows I love your body. 7 p.m. same park. Night at my place. Wear the dress OP bought for you so I can tear it apart. The park is a few hours away from where we live." I can't describe how I felt at that moment. It was a wild cocktail of emotions. I smashed the laptop shut and stormed out. I think she probably figured I knew something was up because I kept getting paranoid texts from her the whole day. When I got home, I realized how foolish it was of me to not collect any evidence. I was only going to regret it even more. Anyway, the next day I drove to the park. Part of me wished none of this was true, but when I got there, I saw her car, which as I said is mine, parked there. I walked by the car and my girlfriend and the student are making out. I knocked on the window and promptly asked for my keys. I told her that we were over and to never contact me again. She starts sobbing, apologizing, and so on. Then she asked me how she'll get home. I asked Wuss to drop her home and he just bolted like his tail was on fire. He even left his phone in my car. I'll never forget the look on their faces, that sudden paleness and shocked expressions. I locked the car, left her there, and drove home. I guess I'm too petty to be the bigger person and drive her home. She kept texting me the whole day, apologizing and asking for another chance. I spent the next 2 days drinking myself to oblivion. I blocked her and went on with my business. I was very rattled, but I could function. I didn't want to talk to anyone, or at least not then, apart from my best friend, but he was away on a business trip and I didn't bother him. All I did for 2 whole days was drink, puke, sleep, eat, and repeat. 2 days later, when I came to my senses, I went through my bank statements and cancelled our joint account. Well, she withdrew almost all of the money in it, out of which 3/4 was mine. I was still being bombarded with texts and calls, so I texted her that I want my money back or else I'll press charges, and that was it. My phone kept ringing that day, so I turned it off while I was at work. She kept calling me from unknown numbers. When I got back home and turned my phone on, I had heaps and heaps of notifications. She posted on Facebook that I had been cheating on her and tagged me. She also added that I was emotionally abusive and a two-faced douchebag who sleeps with his students. We went to the same university and have a lot of mutual friends, and a majority of them blocked me on social media. Someone even created a group on WhatsApp where they were swearing and cursing at me and calling me a horrible human being. I was appalled, obviously. They were even posting memes about me. Then the worst happened. My younger sister called and yelled at me. She called me a piece of crap. She told me that she is ashamed to call me her brother. She told me that I'm following in my father's footsteps. He left our mother for a woman half his age. My mother got depressed and died a few years later. They never divorced. She refused to hear me out and told me that she had heard enough from my ex, who pushed all the right buttons to make my sister hate me. She was hitting all the past wounds, saying things like, "Chip off the old block," and "he's just like your father," and many other horrible made-up things. She got very depressed because of this, and also several of her friends were on my ex's side. While I could handle losing a few acquaintances, my sister is the only family I have left. I don't know how to handle this. This has probably put a permanent strain on our relationship. The only person that has stuck through this is my best friend and his wife. We are very good friends, and he does not believe that I am capable of cheating, rightly so. Even when my family refused to believe me, he did. I'm thankful to have someone, at least. I have ample evidence that she was cheating on me from the texts that she sent me. I also have Wuss's phone, which is locked, but I can't see notifications from the lock screen. The Wi-Fi to my place connected to his phone. Surprise, surprise. She had texted him some stuff about her wanting to leave me and marry him. I cannot fathom how she could have an affair with an 18-year-old kid with the hygiene of a wild pig. Anyway, I don't know what to do with it though. Nobody is ready to listen, even my sister. She has stopped talking to me. She has blocked me everywhere. How can I deal with this? I have worked very hard to build a reputation in my community and she has ruined it. I have lost all goodwill among my peers and friends. Is there any way to convey that I am the victim and not her? How do I fix my relationship with my sister? What the hell do I do? Wow, OP, she really hit you hard. Not only did she cheat on you, which sucks, then she took 3/4 of your money and she also blew up your relationship with your sister and your social life at the same time. So I'd say that the only way that you can turn everything around and actually show the truth is to expose her lies because you have the evidence to do so. Grab all of those texts that she sent you. Take pictures of Wuss's notifications on his phone. Put it all together and blast the hell out of it. Put it on every single piece of social media you can and also give it to your best friend and his wife to do the same. You mentioned that your sister and most of your friends, or probably now ex-friends, have blocked you everywhere, but they probably haven't blocked your best friend and his wife. So the truth has to get out to them somehow. And at the same time, you need to see what you can legally do in order to get back your money. I have no idea how the law works in India or if you can actually try to do it, but still, you gotta research that bit. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Froggy McNasty says, if you have evidence that she cheated, show it to your family. Also contact a lawyer because it sounds like she's trashing you at your work and this can have a major effect on your career. Depending on where that is, what she is doing can be illegal. Cross-post this to legal advice and see what they have to say though. And OP responds, my best friend suggested the same thing. I have scheduled an appointment with a lawyer today. Wemble Wobble says, if this is a current student, you need to get your uni involved and you should get someone else to grade his work. Also, you need to return his phone. Unfortunately, if it was a joint account, you may not have a legal claim to the funds. Keep trying with your sister. If you're blocked, perhaps your friend and his wife can call in your behalf? And OP responds, I know that, and I have already shifted him to a different section. As for his phone, I have no idea where he is. I have taken a photo of the notification and gave the phone to a colleague who'll return it to him. Also, I'm not worried about the money, and my best friend has tried to talk to my sister, but she doesn't want to listen. I have no idea why she is refusing to listen to my side. CakeFarter69 says, I'm not usually a fan of blasting things on social media, but she did it to you. The people in your life seem to accept what they read online as proof. I would probably just blast her back via social media and then plain delete your Facebook account. Put it out there and see who calls you and apologizes. Make a post with proof that she was cheating on you and that everything she said about you cheating on her were lies. She made everything up to cover herself and she's a lying piece of S. And then let it blow over the next couple of days. Your best friend sounds cool. Additional information from OP's comments. My sister has always had a very staunchy view about infidelity, given how our father treated us. We have always been very close because, quite frankly, she grew up in my arms. She is very stubborn, and once she makes her mind up, it's difficult to change it. My ex and she were always close, and they knew each other before we got together. I hope she is only reacting out of anger and she'd listen to me once she has cooled down. Also, my ex has deleted the post. Also, she urged people to block me in the post, which they did. So I have no way of posting my evidence online to clear my name. Alright, well, I think the community gave OP some pretty decent advice and hopefully he'll be able to do something about it, right? Well, he apparently did because the update comes from the subreddit Pro Revenge, and let's continue with that to see how this story ends. Finally, I have an update for you all. As you know, my ex effectively ruined the reputation and the goodwill I had created in my community and among my peers. Put my job in jeopardy. She turned my only family, my sister, against me. But I was able to show her the apology texts my ex sent me and she saw that it was all lies. Then she apologized to me because clearly I was the victim and not my ex. Also, several kind Redditors suggested I contact a lawyer, which I did. Now, the next day when I went to work to take a few days off, I see Wuss and his father heading for me. Somehow I resisted the urge to punch him. He apologized and told me that he'd do anything so as to not get him kicked out of college. I asked him if he'd testify in my favor and he obliged. I did tell him that I won't be able to save him because that was out of my powers. He told me he would still testify in my favor and he sent me several screenshots of his chats with my ex, thus confirming that she was cheating on me and not the other way around. So, with everything I had, I pressed charges under IPC, Indian Penal Code, Section 499 defamation, 500 and 504, intentional insult with the intent to provoke breach of the peace. The day of the hearing was frankly the best day of my life since the breakup. She said a lot of malignant things about me and was yelling a lot to the point that the judge had to scold her. Her lawyer did ask for an out-of-court settlement, but I politely declined because it is not only my life she has inevitably screwed over. It would have been a lot cheaper and I'd have gotten some money, but F her. This was quite a scandal, but since I have a tenure of 5 years, they can't fire me. Although I was transferred to another college instead. Same pay, same incentives, but I'll have to travel a bit more than I prefer. As for her, she is knee-deep in crap. She was a librarian, she's a library science major, in the institution I worked for, and was fired as soon as I notified the authorities. The reason being, philandering with a student. You see, Wuss's parents forcefully got him into engineering, and to be honest, he can't do maths for crap. I saw his credits and it was pitiable. He had already flunked many papers in the unit exam and had to make up for it by preparing assignments. My ex was in charge of these students and that's how they met. Anyway, Wuss has been expelled. So this whole incident has also screwed up her chances of procuring a job in the future. This will always haunt her unless she moves to another country. Oh wait, she can't get a passport. She can go to another state though, but she won't get a good job. She also faces jail time, as mentioned under sections 500 and 504, which can extend to imprisonment for over 2 years, a fine, or both. And Indian jails, sheesh. She can post for bail, however, and the money she stole, that would be going to her lawyer. My best friend went to her apartment and got my stuff back for me, which included a futon, a refrigerator, an air conditioner, a laptop, and several expensive electronics and some jewelry. She would keep the TV though because it is in her name. She'd probably have to sell it because lawyers ain't cheap, and she has no job and no savings. This is in India, and as you might have guessed, people are very conservative here. At some point, she will have to reach out to her parents, who still think she is a virgin. The irony is that all of this was a consequence of her actions. She caused unspeakable agony, not only to me, but to a lot of people. So, thank you Reddit for all your help. Wow, OP, I'm gonna call this a happy update because, well, you were able to turn everything around. You weren't fired, you were transferred, but still, you weren't fired. You were able to reestablish a relationship with your sister after she finally heard and saw the truth that you were the victim, so good for you on all counts. So all the best in the future, OP, and thank you so much for sharing. Take care. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Monkey Paw Wishes. Don't let the VP know we're over budget. Several years ago, I worked in the purchasing department of a large semiconductor company in the US. Mostly, I handled all the non-production purchases and contracts like office equipment, building management, travel contracts, that sort of stuff. But my biggest role was negotiating and approving temp staffing contracts for our US factories. One day, a director, we'll call him Bill, sends me a request for $150,000 for temp workers at a small facility in the middle of nowhere, Florida. The news was that a couple of local businesses had closed, and he had this great idea to save the company money by moving some production down there and snatching up those now desperate workers on the cheap. It seemed like a bit of a dumb idea at the time, but it was clearly his pet project, and $150,000 was within his right to spend without additional approval. So I rubber stamped it and off he went. I hadn't had much interaction with Bill, but he was a pompous ass, so I was glad to get rid of him. Now, it's important to this story to understand that our company's finance was super tightly controlled. Not a bad thing, but if you wanted to spend $1 over your role's limit, you better have your supervisor's signature in triplicate. Directors like Bill could spend up to $250K, VPs $500K, and anything over $500K had to go all the way up to our CEO for approval. So, about 3 months later, the trouble started when Bill suddenly turns back up asking for more money. Turns out, rural Florida doesn't have a lot of people with the skills to work in an industrial clean room, and the people who do don't come cheap. The money that was supposed to last a year is already gone, but Bill is certain that he just needs a little more time and asks me to approve another $250,000 without telling our VP, his boss. I straight up refuse since it's my literal job to stop this, but Bill, being God's gift to this company, throws an absolute fit. It got ugly, and long story short, my boss directly ordered me to approve Bill's money without escalating it. I got this all in writing since it was sketchy as hell and absolutely something I could get fired for. Finally, Bill's gone and I don't have to see his smug, short, balding head anymore. Or so I thought. Having disrespected the great and powerful Bill, I was now the target of his displeasure. For the next 4 months, I get at least 3 emails or phone calls a day from him or his secretary about something they don't like about the building. The landscaping, the guy who brings the bottled water, the snack selection in the machine, the equipment in the sea-level gym, on and on. I'm getting openly berated for things that have nothing to do with me, but I'm stuck having to deal with them because my boss keeps caving to Bill's whims. And none of my paperwork is getting past his office either. I managed the purchasing for 12 facilities in the US and Europe, but if it needs his signature, I've got to personally bring it to him and stand there while he reviews it or he's refusing to sign. It was somewhere between humiliating and infuriating, and I increasingly wished he'd fall down a staircase. After months of this, finally, my chance for malicious compliance arrived. Shockingly, Bill hasn't managed to turn his pet project around, and what do you know, just needs $250,000 to get him through the year. I sign off, add the money to the purchase order, which now totals a cool $650,000, and shoot off an email to both him and my boss to remind them that this won't be shown to the VP. Then I print everything out, including the direct order not to show it to the VP, and march over to the CEO's office for him to sign. After all, it was now over the $500K required limit, and Bill never asked for him not to see it. All hell broke loose when they realized Bill's little project was $500,000 over budget. He didn't lose his job, but he refused to speak to me after that, which was exactly what I wanted. The Florida project was scrapped and was retasked to make basic electrical components. My boss was initially pissed, but once he realized my insistence on getting Bill's order in writing had probably saved both our asses, the whole thing went away. I was there for another year, and thankfully Bill never made an appearance at my office ever again. Well, OP, you followed the rules and exactly did what they asked. Also, I think Bill should have gotten fired, and your boss too, but whatever. Thank you for sharing, OP, and take care. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.